Happy New Year, gang! Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and Happy New Year! And Happy Tuesday as well. So, welcome aboard once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Today is Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, and this is live show number 1001. If you're not overly familiar with this show, starting a new format, actually. But as you can tell, super casual around here, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news and discussing what's cooking in the hobby as well. So come on in, make yourself comfortable, and we will see how this new format works for the next month or so. So usually what I would do on the dispatch is half the show would, well, sometimes less than half, sometimes more than half, would be devoted to the tabletop gaming news of the day. And then I would take a first look at a game, and every once in a while, I'd share a live review. Well, for the month of January, just as a test, I am not going to be sharing the first looks and reviews here on the Gaming Gang Dispatch. It is all news, all the time. Breaking news on the hour here on the Gaming Gang Dispatch. So we'll see how it goes. So see what's up with that. Anyway, so welcome aboard. Hope everyone is having a great new year. I am not off to a fantastic start so far with the new year. I'll talk about that in just a moment. But should also point out, if you are hanging out watching live, there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you happen to be a subscriber to the channel and have been for at least 48 hours, I know that's a lifetime to some people, you can take part in chat. So you can say howdy, have a question, comment, fire away. I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is our good friend of the show, the Madman, chiming in from the Detroit area. Good to see you. He's also one of our chat moderators. So behave. Tessie Trekkie is with us. Lord Cost 2000 and Roll for Combat. I'm going to take a guess. It is Steven from Roll for Combat who is hanging with the gang tonight. So welcome, everybody. So I'm going to jump on into the news in just a moment, but I got to point out I'm in pain. So, like, I have a problem with my shoulder, and it's really weird because I never had any issues with my shoulder joints or anything like that until I had the triple bypass. And then when I came home from the hospital, this shoulder just ached and just was driving me insane for about 2 months. And then it finally went away. But now, every once in a while, I don't know if I sleep wrong, I wake up and it's like, oh my gosh. And this has now been going on for 3 weeks. So I'm actually going to bite the bullet, and I am going to go tomorrow and have some imaging done to find out what's going on. I don't know if it's bursitis. I don't know if it's something to do with a rotator cuff injury or something. But it's really weird that I never had any issue until I got back from the hospital. So I don't know. I don't know. Anywho, yes, Roll for Combat says, it's always Stephen. Well, yeah, I don't know who's got control of your nickname in chat. Tessie Trekkie says, existence is suffering. Geez, thanks a lot. The root of all suffering is desire. All desire is illusionary. Thank you for those pearls of wisdom. Madman says, yeah, his 2024 started out a bit wild. The police were involved in the arrest of 2 severely intoxicated people. Neither was him. See, the key is severely intoxicated. That's the key word that he's using. Pay heed. Sarah D is with us. Yes. Another our chat moderators. Good to see you, Sarah D. She says, I have a damaged rotator cuff from work and kinesiology tape. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. Works wonders for me. Make the shape of a fish with 2 pieces of tape. Mouth at the top of your shoulder. Aha. Well, you tell me that now. Where were you 2.5 weeks ago, Sarah? Probably hanging out watching one of the shows. Anyway, yeah, it's just so. And the funny thing is, when I was doing my last live shows, it was bothering me too. That's why I didn't say anything. But a lot of times you can tell I'm having a problem with the shoulder if you start seeing me like moving my arm behind this chair during the stream because I'm trying to like stretch it because it actually helps a little bit. Although it could be desire. I don't know. Tessie Trekkie says it's desire. So maybe it's that. Sarah D says she was making glitter ornaments while listening to the show. That's where she was. That's true. It's no lie. All right, so let's jump on into the news because later this month is going to see the arrival of the family game Parkade from Facade Games. Here's what I know. Parkade is a quick, easy-to-learn party game for 3 to 13 players. It takes 5 to 15 minutes to play, and there is 0 setup. Convince the guard that the word on your vehicle fits with the word on any of the open spots. The first driver to park all of their vehicles wins. In each of the 3 play modes, players will race to convince the parking guard why their vehicles pair with the open spots. Sometimes pairs will be pretty obvious. Show Prince's Queen, bread, and butter. But sometimes you'll need to get creative. Simple and adrenaline pumping. Teach your friends to play in 10 seconds or less. It includes 1,000 words, 200 cards, 150 unique vehicle illustrations, and 1 teeny tiny cone token. That's all there is to it. Don't let the perfect spot get snatched away. Parkade is a game for Fridays and is the second in the Game Days line of party games by Facade Games, the first being Trophies, a game for Thursdays. Parkade is once again for 3 to 13 players. It's for ages 8 and up. Plays around 5 to 15 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $19.99 when it lands in stores on January 16th. Should mention, as of right now, you can get this on sale for $14.99 over at the Facade Games website. So save 25%. Now, if you are not overly familiar with Facade Games, I think they're best known for their variety of, they're named after cities or towns and a year. So I think one is like Tortuga 1683. And then I think there's another one, it's like Deadwood 1876. So those are their series of games. I think there's 5 of them actually. And they also are starting to do some lighter party games. I thought this looked kind of cool, and what really caught my eye were the illustrations of the vehicles. Pretty sharp looking. There's a hot dog mobile. There's an ambulance. Looks like there's a 57 Chevy. So pretty sweet. Pretty nice. Doomed Colonist is with us, as is Jose Fernandez. So welcome to you both. Thanks for hanging with the gang tonight. On to another news piece. My good buddy, Herman Luttman, has his latest game, which is now out by way of GMT Games. And of course, I'm talking about the Plum Island Horror. Here's the latest. On October 24th of an unspecified year, which happens to be my birthday, I'm sure that's got nothing to do with this whatsoever. I'm serious. Herman did not pick October 24th because it's my birthday, but it is my birthday, which we are only legally allowed to disclose as from the recent past. Superstorm Nancy, it's kind of funny. Herman's girlfriend's name is Nancy, if I remember correctly, plowed into the east coast of the United States. Thousands of miles of coastline were devastated. But for Plum Island, a large, albeit vulnerable atoll smack dab in the middle of the storm's path of destruction, it was a horrifying gray-green apocalyptic nightmare. Plum Island is a sprawling isle off the Carolina coast and is home to the vibrant seaside town of Greenport. While the heart of the island's daily hustle and bustle lies in its commerce and tourism, the prominent employer and revenue generator for the island was housed in a huge complex of nondescript buildings located on the north end of the island. This mega corporation was known locally as the Pearl, or more precisely, the Plum Island Research Laboratory. It was an enormous facility run by scientists who conducted government-sponsored biological research and experimentation, all legal and ethical practices, of course, or so we were told. After the hurricane's catastrophic cascade of water and wind abated, the island was crippled. All power was lost. There was much structural damage throughout, and the path to the main line via the Great South Bay Suspension Bridge was rendered impassable. Due to a perfect confluence of unpredictable factors, the lab's super secret and highly experimental cylinders ruptured. The entire facility was inundated with a horrific, lethal mixture of chemicals, resulting in the deaths and disfigurement of hundreds of personnel who were taking shelter from the storm within the main containment facilities. But the true horror was yet to come. These deaths were only temporary incapacitations. The poor souls who succumbed to the toxins were somehow revived by the bizarre mixture of chemicals, returning to life as monstrously altered mutations. In retrospect, we've referred to these reanimated creatures as horrors. Because, well, honestly, what else could we possibly call them? The horrors almost instantaneously evolved into vicious, killing abominations that overwhelmed the survivors located in and near the main Pearl complex. After the Pearl was assumed, there was only one place left to go to sate the voracious appetites of these reborn killers. A human buffet known as Greenport. The Plum Island Horror is a 1-to-4 player game featuring cooperative play that combines tactical level unit management with a tower defense style survival mechanic. Each player will control one of 6 unique factions which represent the various groups that populate Plum Island. Each of these factions has its own strengths and weaknesses, and the system encourages you to optimize for the group's strengths and marginalize its weaknesses. Players must coordinate with one another, and the resulting synergy will hopefully be enough to successfully evacuate a city under siege and contain the horrific outbreak that threatens to spread beyond the island itself. If the players can succeed, they'll win together, and the world will most likely be none the wiser to the averted crisis. If not, they will lose together and share the blame equally for failing humankind. The Plum Island Horror is for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays around 2 to 3 hours, and it does carry an MSRP of $95. Yes. If you are not overly familiar with my buddy Herman Lutman, he is the man, he is the legend, he is the mind behind Dawn of the Zeds, one of my favorite solitaire games, which sort of got a little out of hand with Victory Point Games and all the stuff they tossed on top of it. Still love it. Think it's an excellent game. Just think Victory Point Games went a little overboard with all the additions to the game. So as far as I understand, and now I gotta be honest, Herman hasn't said this specifically to me, but I sort of have the feeling that the Plum Island Horror is sort of his, what if there was a 4th edition of Dawn of the Zeds, where he got to do anything he wanted. Looks pretty cool. And as you can see, just saw an image of the part of the board with the standees. I think the standees are pretty big. So I do believe we are going to have an opportunity to take a look at this. Fingers crossed this will be in the next shipment that arrives from GMT Games. But if it's a Herman Lutman design, it's going to be good. No doubt about it, it'll be at least good, possibly great, maybe fantastic. We shall find out. Coco B and Vaughn Moore are with us tonight, as is Kevin R. Smith. Good to see you. Welcome aboard. Let's talk about some role-playing game news, because arriving January 16th from Free League Publishing is the latest supplement for Alien, the role-playing game. Here's the scoop on building better worlds. Space is a pitch black room. Stick your hand out and you might never get it back. Of course, you also might touch God. It's a gamble either way. To not try, however, is to wither and die. Only those bold and foolish enough to take a chance will change their lives. Captain J.V. Gorham, Far Spinward Colonies Pioneer, Wayland Corp. All the wonder and danger of the stars is yours if you can just wipe the grime off your face and dig the dirt out from under your fingernails first. Airless moons circle swirling gas giants, eager to be transformed into tomorrow's paradise. Dark, ancient mysteries wait to be unearthed beneath a millennium of debris. Searing solar flails, English, Jeff, use it. Oh, that's the pain. That's it. It's my shoulder. No, you know me. I stumble and bumble all the time. Searing solar flares boil your flesh and blacken your bones as you harness their power to light 100 worlds. Long-lost mysteries lie entombed in the frozen hearts of icy comets. Unstable tectonic plates shift to drown iridium mines in scalding lava. Even the truth of humanity's origins awaits you out there, orbiting some dying star. And out there, amongst it all, is something truly horrifying, something that nature never intended, something alien. Building Better Worlds is a complete campaign module for the award-winning official Alien role-playing game, giving you all the tools you need to run a full open-world campaign as a pioneering explorer or colonist. This book includes the history of colonization. It's the story of humanity's reach for the stars. Expanded character creation rules for life on the frontier. An extensive chapter with new gear and spaceships gloriously illustrated. New xenomorphic creatures to encounter. the framework and backstory for a frontier campaign. 6 thrilling expeditions into uncharted space, playable in any order. And there's also the final showdown with everything at stake, as well as the appendix, which allows you to create your own frontier and colonize it. This 294-page hardcover with PDF, if you order from my friends over at Free League Publishing or one of their bit and mortar partners. Anyway, the hardcover with PDF of Alien the Role-Playing Game, Building Better Worlds, is going to arrive January 16th, and it carries an MSRP of $44.99. The PDF is not available yet, but it should probably hit Drive-Thru RPG around January 16th. I'm going to take a guess. We're going to see that for approximately $22.99. Doomed Colonist says, ooh, cannot wait to get my hands on that new Alien book. Well, obviously, with a nickname like Doomed Colonist, it's probably your life story in it, if you happen to be a colonist in the world of Alien. Flaming Heron is with us in chat. Good to see you, Flaming Heron. So we've got a trio of chat moderators with us. Very nice. Very nice. Moving right along, I think Roll for Combat is going to like this news story. I don't know why. I just have that impression. Because following a very successful Kickstarter, Jewel of the Indigo Isles. Whoops, wait a second. I know what I forgot. I forgot that I'm going to actually break this up into 2 parts. Because I know many of you out there will be very disappointed if I do not have a brief intermission during the show. So we will get into that news piece that Roll for Combat is certain to like in just a few moments. But yes, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Now a brief intermission in which the Campbell kids discover that Mother knows best.
Good. Johnny came calling one Sunday. The girl of his dreams was so sweet. She served him some wonderful dishes, but he found the meal incomplete.
No soup?
Good day, Irene, good day. Goodbye, he sighed, to get the punch of soup for lunch.
I'll seek another bride.
Oh, what a wailing and sighing.
Oh, what shall I do, Mother dear? Just reach for some soup from the soup shelf. You'll soon have your Johnny back here.
Did someone say soup?
Soup and a salad delicious. Soup and a sandwich is great. Soup for lunch is nutritious.
Yes, you are my favorite date.
Now they're a family, one happy bunch. And every day you'll hear them say, let's have soup for lunch. Good.
How's this for lunch or light supper tomorrow? Lean, tender pieces of beef, plus juicy golden egg noodles and rich, full-flavored beef stock. That's Campbell's Beef Noodle Soup, a grand lunch or light supper.
Here's Elsie's Skating Club. Isn't Elsie graceful? And look at Elmer. I'm cold. So Beulah says, let's go in and warm up. I know just the thing for that, says Beauregard. Hot Borden's Dutch chocolate. Yes, sir, delicious Borden's Dutch chocolate, ready to use right from the carton. Full of good milk nourishment, plus the extra good chocolate flavor of real Dutch cocoa. Just the thing when you come in out of the cold, or any time. Borden's Dutch chocolate, made with real Dutch cocoa, tastes so good. Makes you feel so good, too. And it's ready mixed. So easy to use right from the carton, hot or cold. Ask your mom to get some today. Borden's Dutch chocolate.
Giddy up, giddy up, giddy up. Buy Borden's today.
We're here to persuade people to drink more Wilkins coffee.
What's the club for?
To get their attention.
What's up, Mike?
Oh, they're not anything up, Bugs. Nobody here but us monkeys.
Make friends with Kool-Aid. Make Kool-Aid with friends. For brew that never ends. Make friends with Kool-Aid.
Make some Kool-Aid soft drink mix. You can always use another friend. Ah!
Bugs Bunny and the monkeys pitching Kool-Aid? And there are a few of those commercials, so I don't know. Maybe somebody will bring you a few more of those over the next week or two, maybe? I thought it was kind of bizarre. Yes, Kevin R. Smith says, which monkey is missing? Peter Tork, which I thought was kind of weird because you would think it would be Mike Nesmith, because he was the guy who really kind of didn't want any like fame and stuff like that. Kind of bizarre. Kind of bizarre. Oh, and I should mention, what was that horse shit with the soup? You don't have soup, baby? I'm leaving. I'm going to find a woman who's got soup. Man, just some of this stuff could not possibly get made nowadays as commercials. But you know I love bringing these things to you, and you can sit there scratching your head. All right, let's get back on into the news, because following a successful Kickstarter, Jewel of the Indigo Isles has arrived for both 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons as well as Pathfinder. And here's the details from a little company known as Roll for Combat. I don't know why that name rings a bell. Prepare to set sail for the Indigo Isles. Mysteries abound in the pirate town of Rumplank, but none is as well known as the legend of Poppy Van Barnacle's lost treasure. This includes 3 standalone adventures combined into a single volume, Jewel of the Indigo Isles. This massive adventure is unlike anything you have seen before in Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder 2nd Edition. It's a single epic story which will challenge your players in ways never seen before and experience an adventure written by 3 of history's most experienced adventure writers. Yeah, geez, little patting on the back there, huh? Don't sprain your elbow doing that. This massive single volume includes 3 individual adventures. Search for the Missing Map, which is for levels 1 to 3, by Patrick Rene. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Voyage to Runaway Reef by Ron Lundeen of Pathfinder fame. And Battle at Barnacle Bay for levels 8 to 11 by Linda Zayas Palmer. And all maps have been created by legendary cartographer and illustrator Jared Blando. Overall, this adventure is 250,000 words in length. Thankfully, they're all different words, not just the same word 250,000 times. Contains hundreds of custom illustrations, dozens of full-color maps, new unique rules for the Indigo Isles setting, new magic items, new class abilities, extensive gazetteers for several new towns and locations, and so much more. Right now, you can score the hardcover with PDF in both flavors, either 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons or 2nd edition Pathfinder, for an MSRP of $79. Very nice, very nice. I like the artwork for this. Pretty unique and looks as if this would be a fun adventure. Now, got to point out, I would have to take a guess that anthropomorphic animals should probably be your thing if you're going to be picking up this adventure. I mean, it doesn't have to be your bag. I don't mean I'm not talking furries or anything. I'm just saying, if you don't care for anthropomorphic animals in your fantasy role-playing, I don't know. But this looks pretty cool. This looks very cool. That's why I'm sharing the news with you. Very nice. And to be honest, if you have any questions, the man to talk to is hanging out in chat right now. That's right, Flaming Heron. He'll tell you all about it. John Brunhaver is hanging out in chat with us. Very good to see you. Thanks for hanging with us. Final news piece, now available in print and PDF, is Salvage Union from Leyline Press. Here's what I know. Salvage Union is a post-apocalyptic mech tabletop role-playing game. You play as salvager mech pilots who scour the wasteland for salvage and scrap-built mechs. Set in a scarred dystopian world ruled by corporations whose denizens live in isolated mega-settlements known as Arcos. The Corpos control the vast majority of arable land and resources and have a constant hunger for power and control. So thankfully, nothing like today's world. As salvagers, you have found a way to live your lives outside the bounds of corpo control, roaming the wastes in a vast mech known as a Union Crawler, which houses your entire community. The scrap you haul back to your Union Crawler is used to support, sustain, and grow your community, and craft new mechs for you and your crew. As you explore the wastelands for scrap, you'll encounter wastelanders, raiders, mutants, bio-titans, alien meld, and corpo forces, all fighting for survival in this hostile landscape. Will you salvage enough scrap for you and your community to survive in the wastes, or fall prey to its dangers? Inside, you'll find all the rules you need to run and play the game for 3 to 6 players. A full scenario, the downing of the Atychos, a simple D20 variable resolution mechanic powered by the Quest RPG. Rules to craft and customize your mech from 30 different mech chassis and over 150 different mech systems and modules. There's rules to create your salvager pilot from 6 core classes and 5 hybrid classes with over 80 different abilities and over 40 pieces of pilot equipment to customize them with. There's a robust NPC list of denizens of the wastelands, including over 90 unique mech patterns, drones, bio-titans, alien meld, wastelanders, vehicles, mutant creatures, and more. There's rules for creating your own Union Crawler and upkeeping, customizing, and upgrading it during play, as well as creating NPC characters on board who form part of your community. Rules for salvaging and crafting with scrap that you find in the wastelands during play. There's advice for the game mediator on running Salvage Union, including tools for designing campaigns, creating scenarios, and structuring sessions. Lore on the setting of Salvage Union and a huge range of gorgeous artwork of the world. You can score the 340-page hardcover with PDF for an MSRP of $59, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at the Leyline Press website for $30. Yes, got to point out, I did not see this on Drive-Thru RPG. So keep that in mind. I don't know if it's coming or not, but you can get just the PDF over at the Leyline Press website. Gotta say, artwork looks pretty sharp, looks pretty cool. So if you are interested in a role-playing game featuring mechs, but a dystopian future, This might be right up your alley. Very, very possible. All righty then. That is it for the news tonight. Of course, I did mention Drive-Thru RPG earlier, even though I really wasn't sharing anything that's available over at Drive-Thru RPG. But don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, even Wargame Vault, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. And I got to say, very recently, our friend the Madman stopped on by paypal.me/thegaminggang and made a not small donation. So a big thank you to him, as well as everyone else who pops into the paypal.me/thegaminggang webpage, and those of you who use the banner ads over at thegaminggang.com. Thank you kindly. Thank you kindly. All right. So there was a little bit of discussion of Salvage Union. And Doom Colonist says it's nice to have a possible alternative to the Battletech role-playing game and Lancer. I've never looked at Lancer, so I wouldn't know. I know it's popular as far as mech role-playing games go. I don't know how popular it is in the great scheme of things. And yes, Battletech, you're sort of like Catalyst Game Labs, are they going to pull it off? Do they not pull stuff? I mean, it's like a crapshoot when stuff comes out from Catalyst Game Labs. Not that I have anything against those folks. It's just, you just never know. So there you go. Yes. So now you've got yet another option that looks pretty cool as far as mech role-playing games. Tessie Trekkie says the Salvage Union book is quite pretty. The adventures are extremely weird in a what drugs were they taking away? Aha. All right. Doom Colonist says the Lancer core book's getting a new print run this summer, but minus any errata, so not great. That's kind of weird. If you're going to do a new print run, why not clean it up? All it is a digital file. It's like, duh. Wait, there's work involved in that. Hold on. I don't want to have to do that. All righty. So, a couple of things I do want to mention. So, first of all, I wanted to talk about how you, as a fan of the Gaming Gang, either the website or the channel, what have you, can help out in 2024 as far as making a difference, helping to spread the word. And I was having a discussion with somebody in the industry who probably does not want to be named. But we were talking about how you see it's got the point. And one of the reasons I've pointed this out before, that I'm shifting away from board games. I'm still covering board games, just not like in the past. And part of it is because I just don't have an opportunity. I don't get together with the gang as often as I would like to be able to play enough games to do reviews of them and play them enough times where I would feel that, I'm presenting a solid review. Not, I read the rules and let me do a review. Because there are outlets who do that. So anyway, we were talking about how there's so many outlets out there, and there's so many that just pop up out of nowhere, and it's like, my gosh, how many thousands of dollars did they spend on putting together a studio and sound equipment and video cameras, all shooting 4K? And it's because a lot of these outlets pop up either backed by someone with money, or the people who launch it invest money because it's a business. So many of these outlets start off not from the places that like I came from and other outlets who unfortunately are no longer around came from, which is the love of the hobby and the people who are part of the hobby. I don't want to leave them out. In fact, that's the thing I enjoy the most out of gaming is the people. Yeah, games are great. Yes, of course, I have a good time, but still, it's the people. And I was having this conversation, and they were talking about how difficult it is to run across anybody who is not being sponsored or paying for promotion. So paying to be promoted on Twitter or X, formerly known as Twitter, or YouTube, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. Even if, like, I don't know if anybody out there uses like the Google News, things like that. I have never seen anything from the gaming gang pop up on Google's News, and I have submitted the website umpteen times over the years. And I always get, oh no. It's just a blanket no. And then I see other outlets which are just pop-up ads galore, auto-playing videos galore, paragraph of text, video ad, paragraph of text, image ad, paragraph of text. You know what I mean. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, they're news. Sure. So so it's like, what? So we were talking about how do you go about actually, and I'm not even talking about competing, I'm talking about surviving. And they said, well, you gotta play the game. And I said, no, I completely disagree. Now, I'm now going to be entering later on this year, my 14th year covering tabletop gaming. Zoinks. I don't expect to be popular. I never expect that. But it is getting to the point where those of us who do the best we can with what we have available without hitting you up twice a year for a Kickstarter because it's time to fund the latest season, as if this is a network program, it's getting tough. It is getting tough. So here's what you can do to help myself out, as well as any other small outlets. And the funny thing is, the gaming gang isn't small. We pull in, at least at the website, we pull in well over 1 million unique visitors a year. I'm not talking visits, I'm talking unique visitors. So there is that. Unfortunately, it's not necessarily, monetized very well, but it's not why I got into doing this. So what you can do is tell a friend. If you hang out on Board Game Geek, mention the gaming gang on Board Game Geek. If you happen to see one of like a first look video or a review video here on the YouTube channel, it's also going to be up on Board Game Geek or RPG Geek. If you belong to either one of those, go to the game page, give it a little thumbs up, comment on it. Super easy ways to help promote the Gaming Gang and the work that we do. So, doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, costs you a little bit of time, maybe a touch of mental energy. You can also thumb up the videos if you like the videos. If you happen to be watching one of the videos, don't only watch the video for 2 minutes and then move on to something else after you give it a thumbs up. Watch the video for a while. Let the video run its course. Shit like that. So, I don't know, just Doom Colonist says word of mouth is so useful these days. You know, and it's kind of funny because we got onto the topic of, get ready for it, Mystery Science Theater 3000, which we were on board with that. We were, I don't know if you remember, like the first, 3 seasons it was on. Because first it was on in Minneapolis, and then it was on the Comedy Channel. That's what it was called back in the day, the Comedy Channel. And we would circulate the tapes. And at the end of the shows, there'd be a little message saying, keep circulating those tapes. That's what we did. So we would get together with friends and just be trading out the tapes all the time. So, yes, word of mouth is very powerful. It is very, very powerful. And once again, like I said, costs you nothing. Just like commenting on videos on the channel. Takes a couple minutes. But once again, it helps as far as showing YouTube's algorithm that there is engagement on the video. Now, I just shared my favorite tabletop role-playing games that I reviewed in 2023. That video's doing all right. It's doing okay. But, you know, usually what we see is most of the videos on the channel hit about 300-400 views, and that's about it. Yes. Doom Colonist says, good old MST3K, the show that gave us normal view. So Roll for Combat, Steven, says, I should come on the show again. And I can spread the word on his show. Yeah, but you know what? You had me on that one time, and it's sort of like, you know, what do I talk about? You know, I talk about tons of role-playing game releases and that. I don't only focus on D&D. In fact, 2024 is probably not going to be too heavy on Wizards of the Coast stuff. I highly doubt they're going to continue sending me review copies of stuff because they only want the shills. They only want the people to go, oh, this is fantastic. This is so good. This is the best Dungeons and Dragons release yet from Wizards of the Coast. And let me put together 25-minute videos. No, actually, they'd be 8. 8-minute videos, because then you can put that mid-roll ad in there in the middle of it. I'm going to shoot 20 videos so I can talk about all the different aspects of the book. John says it was a good video. Thank you. Yeah, I was, just sharing my favorites. That's about it. So, Rolf Comp, Steven says, that's fine. We can talk about everything. Oh, yeah, I'd be more than happy to come on. We could talk about the OSR and some of the misconceptions people have about the old school Renaissance. So, yes, I can talk about what I think of it and why I really love the old school flavored role-playing games. So, but then again, I also think second edition Pathfinder is really well done, especially if you like a crunchy fantasy role-playing game. All right, so the other thing I was going to mention, so what I'm going to look to do is the show should still be about an hour. May not always be an hour, but it's still probably about an hour or so. So I'm going to do the tabletop gaming news. Then I might talk about whatever happens to be on my mind that day, mostly regarding the hobby. And kind of wrap it up after about an hour. So when I did the 1000th show and I did the little AMA, there were quite a few questions that had gotten asked, which I didn't get around to addressing. It's like some folks had sent some emails to me with questions that I didn't get to see until after the show was over. Which, yeah, that didn't help. So I am going to tackle some of those. We've got Shar Asnable says, I play new and old games. I just started a BECMI game with some friends over the weekend. Nothing like playing old school games in person. Flaming Heron says, you mean my ton of questions? Yes. You weren't the only one with a bunch of questions. And unfortunately, quite a few of the questions Flaming Heron asked, I can't really answer in polite company. You're a sick man. Just joking. One of them was, if I were trapped on it, it was like, what is my desert island role-playing game? So if I was stuck on a desert island, what would be the role-playing game that I would take? But it could not be Call of Cthulhu. Bastard. Taking away my all-time favorite love. Just because I've run it for decades. So, hey, and when I talk about role-playing games and I say there is no perfect role-playing game, there isn't. Call of Cthulhu is not perfect. 7th edition Call of Cthulhu is not perfect. It's a damn good role-playing game. It's an excellent role-playing game, but it ain't perfect. All right, so I'm going to throw a disclaimer in here because I can't just go with one role-playing game. So I'll give you a handful of games, and then I'll explain why. So I'm going to have to assume that I'm trapped on this island with, let's say, 4 other people. Because otherwise I'm just playing solo. So, John Brunhaver says, Kelvin Ball is pretty perfect. I have no clue. I have no clue what that is. Kevin King is with us. Good to see you, Kevin. Says they ran 2nd edition Pathfinder for the first time a couple days ago. The group quite liked it. Yeah, I think 2nd edition Pathfinder, as for a crunchy fantasy role-playing game, and I always say that, crunchy, I think it's excellent. Now, if you don't want that level of crunch, do not touch it with the 10-foot pole, because there's no halfway around doing it with 2nd edition. Because I don't think a lot of people realize just how vastly different 2nd edition Pathfinder is from 1st edition. So, Kevin says, you never read Calvin and Hobbes? Yes, of course I did. I don't recognize Ball, though. I didn't realize that's Calvin's last name, because I know it's not Hobbes. Oh, so in Calvin Ball, there's a ball, and the only rule is that you can't play by the same rules twice. Okay. Yes, I've actually given the, what they call it, the omnibus. When I don't know if they still sell it. Back in the day, I actually gave that to 2 or 3 people as gifts, because there's a lot of wisdom in Calvin and Hobbes. Yes. All right, so Traveler. I would say Traveler would be a game that I would certainly look to bring. Not that I'm, sitting there going, oh, well, I'm going to be stuck on a desert island. Let's see, what should I back? And yes, I would say Mongoose second edition Traveler, which is their most recent, I think is really well done. Yeah, okay. Are there is there errata that needs to be taken care of? Yes. Do they proofread everything as well as it could? No. Is it pricey? Yes. Remember, there was a bundle you could have gotten your hands on. I don't know if it's still around. I think it was Bundle of Holding, which was a rockin' deal. So Deja Vu asks, do I ever cover tabletop war games like Battletech, Bolt Action, and or Warhammer? I would. I certainly would. I don't know if he's still with them. I knew one of the guys from Warlord Games who was, they basically, if I remember correctly, they eventually opened a warehouse in Arizona, and that's where I knew him from, and tried to kind of get on board and stuff like that. And it was one of these things where, oh, okay, we'll give you the PDF for the rules. So that was back when I was doing, I would do reviews based on PDFs. Never got any miniatures or anything like that. As far as like Warhammer stuff, as far as I understand, Games Workshop is not looking for anybody new to review stuff. But as far as miniatures and that, sure, I would certainly do that. Battletech, once again, Catalyst Game Labs, they're not really a company that's all too gung-ho about reviewers. And I think I think part of it is because they get hammered on pretty good. I mean, I haven't like taken them out to the woodshed or anything like that, but I do when I'm kind of talking about tabletop game companies that just don't seem to be well run, that just companies that seem to just have bad luck happen to them all the time. And a lot of times that's an indication that it's not luck. Sort of them. John Brunhaver says, I recall coverage of an Agincourt war game box set. Well, I do GMT stuff. So, I mean, board games, war games. I have a war game that just showed up today for my friend Mark Herman. So, Mark Walker. I said Mark Herman because we had played Washington's War over the holiday break. I don't know. So yeah, I'll show you some of the stuff just arrived today. So some goodies out there. All right, so let's see. Other games, I could honestly see like taking Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. I see where people are coming from, where they really dig it. I think mechanically pretty simple to wrap your head around. You can put as much crunch as you want into it and take some of the crunch out. I will say some of the edges could use a little more clarification from what I've looked at some stuff. Like I've got my Savage Pathfinder review coming soon, and I do like it, but I also have to point out it's not the equivalent of Savage Worlds with second edition Pathfinder, because second edition Pathfinder has that 3-action economy, which first edition Pathfinder didn't have. So if you are interested in the world of Galarian and that aspect of the Pathfinder universe, yes, by all means, then the Savage Pathfinder is actually a great product. If you are looking to capture second edition Pathfinder, by way of Savage Worlds, tain't happening, Dooley. Got to be very honest. So, Tessie Trekkie says Catalysts get hammered on because their Shadowrun products are like Foster's filtered through a college frat boy's kidneys. Yes, Foster's, another one of those beers from another country that people in that country do not drink. So, see Corona. All right. So anyway, so that would be Savage Worlds would be one. Delta Green. Yeah, I know it's close to Call of Cthulhu, but it's not Call of Cthulhu. And man, some of those adventures are so twisted. They are like really freaky. So that's a mature audience for sure. So if I were going to do some like fantasy role-playing game, but I wanted something a little lighter, I'd probably go old school essentials, maybe even basic fantasy. And I will have some coverage of the newest edition of Basic Fantasy very shortly. And it's got a lot going for it outside of just being free. So one of the cool things about Basic Fantasy is not necessarily that it costs you nothing in PDF, or you can get the books at essentially cost through Amazon. There's a lot of goodies with Basic Fantasy. So that would be another one. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, if I were going to be running adventures that were published, that is certainly something that I would lean into because I just really dig the sense of humor to it. You know, I started running the adventure from the starter set with the gang, and they were getting into it. They were starting to kind of get the whole, it doesn't take itself too seriously as far as like the heroes, the player characters, which I love. Unfortunately, trying to get any sort of role-playing game campaign off the ground with my gang is just not working. Because once again, it's everybody's schedules. It's just tough to get everybody together. So it's kind of funny. I keep sitting here thinking about, maybe I should just run some stuff for strangers in the area. Scott Nelson is with us. Said, reminded me of the line in The Return of the Killer Tomatoes, Foster's from Down Under. Doom Colonist says, I wish people would not use the word beer to describe what Foster's is. All right, come on. It's in that oil can. Probably rather be drinking the oil out of a real oil can. So there you have it. Those are some of, and I guarantee you, I'm leaving a bunch off that I would certainly look to run. Well, let's take a peek here. Well, I mean, 5e. If I were going to run some Cobalt Press stuff, yeah, I guess we could go 5e. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, just about anything from Free League Publishing. RuneQuest, very cool. But yeah, I think for RuneQuest, you need to have the right audience. I think that's part of it. Tunnels and Trolls is very cool. I don't know how many of you out there have taken a peek at that. It is old school. It's actually the second oldest fantasy role-playing game that's out there, as far as I understand. And interestingly enough, the mechanics to it are fairly modern. Although, and I mentioned this when I did my review of it, I don't know, I think the jury's probably out a little bit with like higher level adventures. Scott Nelson asked, did I ever get Healthy Heart Hospital 3rd edition to the table? Yes, I just did. That was another game that I got a couple of plays in during the holiday break. So yes, there will be some tabletop board games being reviewed in the very near future as well. So you may have noticed, Scott Nelson points out, they played TNT in 1985. I was going to say, if you follow the channel, you may have noticed there were a decent number of videos that popped up. I wasn't just, sitting around sunning myself during that break. Not that we had really much sun here in the Chicago area. Coco B says, GURPS, take GURPS. Yeah, as a kid, I think I'm just going to kind of like bury the hatchet with some of the companies that I just kind of refuse to talk about and things like that. Kind of let bygones be bygones. I'm not saying I'm going to go out of my way to share like Steve Jackson Games news, but I'm too old to worry about that kind of shit. Flaming Heron says Coco B was going to get the ban hammer for that. But to me, it's like, whatever. It was what it was, water under the bridge. Although I'm sure Steve Jackson Games, the folks there still can't stand me. They hate me. But somebody set me up. It's a story for another time. But somebody set me up that they're one of their guys that somebody who I had actually dealt with Steve Jackson Games over the years had died from a brain tumor. And I did not know. And I got an email from somebody saying, hey, Jeff, I don't know if you knew this, but if I remember right, his name was Andrew Hackard. Said passed away. They just passed away, and Steve Jackson Games hasn't even said anything about it. I was like, what? I was thinking, come on. So I actually went on to the Steve Jackson Games website, and I was going through like their daily news. And there wasn't any mention. So I, stupid ass me, tweeted, because, the folks at Steve Jackson Games had always treated my outlet poorly. And a couple of guys that Elliot did an interview with from Steve Jackson Games, I wasn't there for it. It was Gen Con. Elliot was still part of the gaming gang. And we had so many interviews. We were actually doing them solo for a lot of them. We were splitting up. And they just treated him like dog shit. And then, they would never send you a review copy of anything. But they always wanted news of their stuff out there. So anyway, I had interviewed Andrew a few times. And I was like, oh, what a piece of shit company. Can't even, mention that somebody who worked with them for years and that passed away, blah, blah, blah. Well, here, the setup was he had passed away like a month and a half earlier, not the week before. So here they had actually said a lot of stuff about it. I was like, shit. But it was somebody who knew that I didn't have any time for Steve Jackson Games because of my experience with folks involved with the company in the past. And then, yes, I was a complete asshole. First to say yes. If I screw up, I admit to it. So I am not, quackalope? Not one of these people who makes one of those internet apologies, the non-apology apology. No, if I screw up, I'd say, yeah, I fucked up. Because, we all do. Some bigger than others, but. So, Travis Williams asks, did I say hello to Travis? Maybe. Sorry if I didn't. I'm saying hello now. How about some Shadow of the Demon Lord? That game doesn't get enough attention in Travis's opinion. Well, here, strangely enough, and this will be the last thing for tonight's episode. From my experience going to Gen Con now, maybe not the last 2 years. No, not the last 2 years. Because to be honest, I'm trying to think. I don't even know where Schwalbe Entertainment is or had been at Gen Con the past 2 years. But prior to that, there would be huge long lines. And is it Joseph Schwab? Anyway, he would just have like a little exhibit area. It wasn't anything huge, but he had these huge long lines of people waiting to go pick up the latest releases. Lines long enough where big game publishers were probably wondering, what are all those people in line for? What's going on over there? But that's another company I have no experience with, and I don't know if they would even be interested in me, shooting video and stuff for them. It really goes a long way. And this actually harkens back to what I was saying about, helping the outlet out. If there's a company out there that you really like their products, or you're really interested in your products, and you've not seen me cover it, or you've not seen any like news or anything on gaminggang.com, any reviews, anything like that, reach out to them. Reach out to them and tell them about the Gaming Gang, because you'd be amazed how many publishers out there, if customers of theirs tell them about outlets, they are far, far more interested in talking to them, as opposed to somebody going, give me. So Travis points out, yes, he's got a new game out. Yes, isn't it Shadow of the Weird Wizard? Yep, John just mentioned that. Just had a Kickstarter late last year for Shadow of the Weird Wizard. I did share a news piece about it, about the Kickstarter. And my understanding, and I could be wrong, my understanding is that it is supposed to be aimed at people who enjoy old school Renaissance role-playing games, but they don't want that grim dark, because that's what Shadow of the Demon Lord is built on, is a grim dark setting. And this is, as far as I understand, I could be absolutely wrong, but I thought this is more kind of a Shadow of the Demon Lord meets Dungeon Crawl Classics, which would be another role-playing game that I would bring to that deserted island. I said desert island, right? That doesn't sound right. John Muscola is popping on in as I'm about to wrap up. So, last thing I wanted to mention, had some goodies arrive today. So, my good buddy Mark Walker, why I said Mark Herman is beyond me, sent Black Horse, which is the latest war game from Tiny Battle Publishing. So we've got this. I also, from, I want to say, I think they're called RPG Ramblings. Issue number 1 of Gary's Appendix, as well as issue number 2 of Gary's Appendix. You see a theme here, right? Issue number 3, as well as their Scoundrels of Brixton. So I've got the Scoundrels book. Now, I don't know if this is, I think this is the core rules, but then both book 1 and book 2 of Scoundrels of Brixton. So I was like, sweet. So this all came in a little package today. And I also got a copy of Shadow Dark. So I will be sharing a first look at Shadow Dark later on this week. Probably have an unboxing of Black Horse later on this week. So as I had pointed out previously, you're probably going to see more content on this channel now that I am not going to be doing the first looks here on the Dispatch. Omanal popped in as well. Good to see you. Good to see you. So Travis Williams says, yeah, they're lukewarm about Shadow of the Weird Wizard. I think he's trying to get a piece of that high fantasy pie. Aren't they all? Come on. But yes, I have always heard good things about Shadow of the Demon Lord. That it's kind of the role-playing game that he wanted to design. Because didn't he work on D&D? I could have swore he worked on, it might have been the 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons. All right. So sweet. All righty. Yes, Shadow Dark. Big thank you to Kelsey Dion from Arcane Library. So very, very nice. And then, of course, we know Steven's going to be sending copies of the Jewel of the Indigo Isles. I mean, that's a given. I'm just joking. Oh, okay. John Brunhaver says Joseph Schwab worked on 5th edition. Ah, okay. Cool. All righty. So that is it for this time out. And of course, once again, this is the new format for the Dispatch. We'll do news, do a little talk about what's cooking, what's going on. Steven's like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. I don't beat people up for review copies of stuff. I mean, if they want video coverage of that, I'm all for it. But I'm not one of these, Mosa, Ma, could I have Mosa? Steven says, I warn you, it's bigger than your house. I don't know. I got a pretty big house. The duct tape studios aren't big, but the house itself, pretty big. So it's 3-bedroom. So anyway, all righty. I will be back tomorrow. I know, I'm threatening you. Anywho, that's it for this time out. Once again, want to wish everybody a very happy new year. So looks like most of us made it through in one piece. I didn't do anything. I was watching a movie, fireworks went off, and I thought to myself, oh, it must be midnight. That's how exciting that was. Anyway, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming first look at, well, we just took a peek, Shadow Dark from the Arcane Library. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. If you watch live, thank you very much. If you watched live, took part in chat, a bigger thank you, big tip of the cap, because keeping each other company as well as myself. So that's a good thing. But of course, I know a lot of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for watching any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. And until I see you next time, which I certainly hope will be tomorrow. But regardless, I also hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.